Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Hi, hello-y, my name is Loey. And dreams are really weird, right? I've been having a reoccurring dream for like the last 2 weeks that I've started a blues jazz band with Jacksepticeye. So I am no stranger to the strange things that can happen in your head while you sleep. But recently there's been a phenomenon where people believe that it's possible we're all going to the same location in our dreams. That place is called themallworld, and despite a subreddit being created for it originally like years ago, it's really only gone viral online in the past couple of months. So in today's video, we're going to be exploring this phenomenon together, whether it's a glitch in the matrix or something entirely explainable. And also at the same time I'm doing my makeup. I don't know why, I just felt like today I needed to do something with my hands, so that's why I'm sitting before you barefaced. I'm gonna do my makeup while I chat with you guys about this, and we watch some of the content revolving themallworld together. But before we get into it, I want to say a thank you to our sponsor, Aura. Dreams can be a little spooky, but you know what I think is a downright nightmare? The fact that data brokers are out there making billions off of selling your personal information online. They're selling it to scammers, spammers, even stalkers without your consent, and they do not care that they're destroying your online privacy in the process. It's literally more horrifying than any spooky story we've ever talked about on this channel, but do not worry because Aura is here to help. Aura protects your privacy by identifying these data brokers selling your information, and once they find them, they take care of the hard part by requesting the removal of your data, which these websites do have to do, but they make it really hard and time consuming on purpose. So not only does Aura take care of the hard part of removing it for you, they also make sure that it stays off of these data broker websites, because if someone collects your information once, they're gonna probably do it again. So think of Aura like your internet security partner in crime, but while they do the heavy lifting, you can sit back and relax knowing that your data is protected. With Aura, you'll also get real-time fraud alerts for credit and banking, as well as alerts if your info is found on the dark web, as well as 24/7 monitoring to keep your identity secure. With Aura, you also get a secure VPN, an antivirus, as well as a password manager, all for one low monthly price. So try Aura for free for 14 days when you go to aura.com/loeylane. That should be more than enough time to see if your data has been compromised, and Aura will get to work putting those data brokers in their place. Thank you so much to Aura for sponsoring this video. This is a product I personally use in my everyday life, and it gives me a ton of peace of mind, so I know it can for you guys as well. And now, let's chat themallworld. Our journey into discovering themallworld is going to take us to a couple of different places, but let's start off where I first learned about it, which was on TikTok from this creator, Titonica TikTok.
Tiltonica.
Titonica TikTok.
Tiltonica.
I dream of themallworld every night, and I made a map. Let me show you guys.
Okay, so this is like the full map. It's not very complete, but we'll start at the mall that's attached to like a hospital and a school and a parking garage. There's also the airport attached to the mall. And then back behind the mall, you have the amusement park, water parks, and like the literal ocean, cliffs. You can see it through the windows. You can see the ocean through the windows of the mall and the hospital. And sometimes you can see this in the background. Then there's the big theater attached to the mall, school. Everyone you've ever met is here in the theater.
Everyone I know being packed into one theater actually kind of, again, sounds like a bit of a nightmare to me. But this is so interesting already off the bat, because as you'll learn as we go on, so many people resonate with this exact layout of themallworld.
You have like an underground market, which is different than the mall. It's more like a flea market. There's infinite toilets. Anytime you have to use a restroom, it's like they're broken and they're all connected together. Next to the parking garage is like a really dangerous playground. And then you come to like the fairgrounds, the outdoor markets, there's like cabins. And then over here is like forest. And then outdoor concert and festival is going on. So this is like kind of grungy camping situation, campsites. Then we have the big non-functional highway that's kind of linking things together. It has abandoned cars on it. You have like walking caravans. You got people camping out.
Carson has come to join us, by the way, and I would pay so much money to know what it is he dreams about. So from the jump here, maybe you do know of something like themallworld in your dreams. I know I certainly do. I wouldn't say I've dreamed like this exact layout, but I definitely have had some of the experiences that people will go on to talk about when it comes to Mall World. For now, let's stick with this TikToker because a lot of people initially off the jump of this video were like, I completely recognize this place. Can you please explain more? And in the next video, they do.
Okay, so this is part 2 of explaining Mall World, the dream world I go to every night. And you guys can choose to believe me or not, but I've actually never been on the Reddit or seen anybody else's map of Mall World. I didn't know that other people experienced this until very recently, and I have journals going back years and years talking about this place I go to. So in the last video, we talked about the mall, and it's connected to the hospital, the school, and the airport. The ocean is behind this area because you can see the ocean outside of the mall. There's also cliffs onto the ocean, so like you can be up here, but you can't really get down there to the beach. The beach is like over here, kind of closer to where the cabins are and the outdoor market. So if you're at the cabins, you could probably make your way to the beach. And if you're at the airport, it's gonna be cliffs over here. And then there's a huge amusement park, kind of like, honestly, the amusement park's in the background of the whole thing. And there's a water park connected to it. Then if you come over here, you have like long winding roads with like warehouses, neighborhoods, like city neighborhoods close to the buildings. There's like a bunch of downtown buildings, offices, and the top buildings. There's like really important meetings up here. There's fancy parties. There's like a room of pools. It's just like pool rooms all up here.
So checking the comments at this point, you have people like this person saying, I've never seen a map and now I'm kind of scared. Without looking at your map, I told my husband about my Mall World experience and showed him your video. We realized I have only so far reached the mall, some underground market, and I often get lost in the school. I am flabbergasted about how much larger it is. Someone else says, anyone else have tsunami beach dreams? I literally also saw a video about that. This person says, I have a dream school where I always lose my schedule and map and I get lost. Another person asking, does anyone else have highways that turn into roller coasters? And what's interesting about all of this is that yes, it's not one or two people who experience these random seemingly things in their dreams. I'm talking down to the tsunamis or the highways that turn into roller coasters. This person says, I've been there, but it was slightly different. Has anyone ever been to a rundown mansion where they're trying to leave, but it keeps changing? I've been so many times and I can't find a way out. So is this where Roku City got their idea? This person says, I go to Toilet World. It sucks. And it's not just the comments that are saying this at this point, it's also like other creators making videos about how shocked they are that other people know about Mall World. For example, this is a friend of mine, Tara Rule, who actually says that she has been like plagued with dreams of this place since she was a kid.
One of the most distressing parts of my life has been my dreams and my nightmares. I have worked really hard in therapy to overcome these, and one of the ways I overcame some of these really bad nightmares were to draw out a map of this town I would frequent. The center of town was a mall, but it was also a school. As I've gotten older, you know, at first it was just like the school and the mall I could explore, and as time has gone on, this town has become more expansive. I've been able to visit more places in it. I would say the whole vibe of the town is quite unnerving, and the weird thing about it is there's never anyone I know there, nor does it seem like I have any awareness of my life outside of this town or this world, right? It's just like I'm there, and I would wake up from these dreams almost every night completely exhausted. So I drew out a map. I've drawn a couple over the years. The one I drew last year was the most expansive version of this map, and normally when I draw out this map, the dreams will die down for a while. You know, last year when I started having them, there was a new theme that there was like a beach area and there was a tsunami.
So she goes on to say that she came across the photo of the Mall World map and she literally felt sick to her stomach because it was like identical to these maps she had literally drawn herself. How crazy is that? She has records of drawing these maps of her own like town in her dreams without any like real knowledge of what this this trend is. And again, like I said, I know that the Mall World subreddit has been around for a while, but a lot of the people like her talking about this really seem like it's something that they thought was kind of exclusive to them, if that makes any sense. Like, most of these people do not seem to believe like this was something anyone else ever experienced. Anyways, take a look at her own maps drawn comparatively to the ones that we've already seen of Mall World.
The town is structured identically to mine, and I'll show you what I drew. It's clearly not as good. But you can see in the corner, I don't know how well you can see it, but it says 24. So I drew this well before I saw any of this. And I have ones dating back years, right? Sidebar, my map is just focusing on the more distressing areas of town. The other map is more so what I see in my dreams. But, you know, same thing, the weird flippy dippy highway. This was really interesting to me. There's like a warehouse down here with 2 adjacent buildings, which she also has in the same spot. You know, it goes over water, and then it goes to the crazy roads go to an airport, and it's kind of like futuristic cities. I didn't even bother with the airport area because trying to draw out this map was very kind of difficult and confusing for me, but there's the mall/school. There's parking areas. I'm not sure what this building is, but there's like a theater over this way. These mountains with abandoned houses, like old town. There's like more town over there, and the beach with tsunami waves. I don't,
Of course, as I'm finishing up Tara's video, I realized I called her Tara in the beginning of this. Sorry, diva. It's been a long day. But while we're gonna get into some really interesting stuff in this video, I find her story one of the most interesting because her version of Mall World just looks so similar to what we're seeing as like widely accepted, I guess, as canon Mall World. Anyway, here's another video talking about it. This one comes from Johnridgeway.
I knew liminal spaces existed in dreams, but I didn't know Mall World was like common. Like, I didn't know there were a bunch of people who experienced Mall World, because to me, like, my Mall World, it's literally the mall, right? But like, you go up the escalators in the mall and it immediately becomes the airport. It does. And then you look out the window, like the big windows that they have at the airports where you can view like the tarmac. You look out the windows and there's planes and there's the tarmac, but then there's a beach immediately behind that. In view, you can see the sand on the beach. You can see like the ocean. Yeah.
You know, we're going to get into some of the reasons that I think some of these things are sort of common. Like, one thing that people talk about a ton are the toilets. Gross, I know, but it's actually very relevant. But the fact that everyone is familiar with this beach is just crazy to me.
And also, this mall is absolutely a school. The school is like a maze. That really feels like the back rooms. It's like you kind of know it's a school, but it really just feels like the back rooms, kind of. Just like halls and little spaces. I don't know. The school part, and like the stairs, it'll be like a long staircase, but it'll be like 30 feet up in the sky, like just the longest staircase ever. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I did not know Mall World was like a common thing, like other people experience this.
So again, it seems like the people who are getting really freaked out by Mall World are ones who have seen something like so similar to that map, it's uncanny. Tati's Creepy Stories actually goes a little bit more in depth into some of the things that people report seeing at Mall World as well.
Have you ever dreamt about a mall that just doesn't exist? Because apparently on this app, there's a bunch of people coming forward saying that they have all had the same dream of being at the same mall, but none of them are connected. And I'm not just talking about a couple people, I'm talking about thousands of people are all dreaming of being in this mall that doesn't exist. They're now calling it Mall World, and each person describes the same specific layout of the mall. They all say that this mall is filled with endless escalators. It has a bunch of stores that no one can like recognize. It has like soft yellow lighting, and that the food court smells like popcorn. Like, everyone agrees that this is the place that they have all been to. What's even weirder is that when they have tried to find this mall in real life, it doesn't exist. So some people are really starting to believe that this is like a real place. It's just not here. It's in a different dimension. Psychologists are trying to explain it away as it just being like a mashup of all of the different malls that we have been to, but it still makes no sense that every single person is having the same dream of the same exact mall. Like, that makes no sense.
Now, in that video, Tati basically is like, nobody really knows what mall this is. You know, we try to find it in real life and there's nothing quite like it. And while that's clearly true, there's not a mall with the airport attached with a tsunami wave beach in the background. I did think of something in particular when I started to look into this. Do you remember this video? It's from Roberttolppi.
I'm at a dead mall, guys. Everyone just stopped moving, like froze in their tracks. I can't find the exit. I can't find it. Everything looks the same and nobody's here. It just keeps repeating don't move over and over and over again, and everyone's still frozen. I'm trying to find the exit. 15? What do you mean 15? 15 flying penguins? 15 what? If this is a prank, these people are committed. They are not messing around. Hello? What are you doing? Nobody's on the second level. I think she's counting down. Ugh, I'm so out of shape. I'm looking from one end of the mall to the other.
Robert had made a couple of this video, and it's funny, he's not like a horror creator by any means, but a lot of people found them really unnerving. In response to that video, and way before all of the mall world dream discourse began, there was a person named Stickandtoke who actually responded to Robert's video and talked about the fact that they had been in this mall before. Now, this isn't like Mall World where it's like, where could this possibly be? It's not a real location. The mall that this was filmed in is actually called Crystal Mall in Waterford, Connecticut, and I unfortunately found out while filming this that it's been purchased and probably is going to be torn down. So sad to see a good old liminal space go, but I find this really interesting now.
I'm a local. This is the Crystal Mall in Waterford, Connecticut. I've been going to this mall since the 90s. My biological mother worked at the Fredericks of Hollywood in this mall, and I frequent it constantly as a child. My adoptive father did the plumbing for this mall. Almost every first date I had in high school was at the Crystal Mall. I've worked at both the Build-A-Bear and that H&M featured in that video. It's also where I met one of my best friends. Since childhood, I have had extremely lucid dreams of this mall. Like, I can map the whole thing for you. And anytime I tell one of my local friends, like, oh yeah, I have these lucid dreams of the Crystal Mall, before I even get to the mapping of the dream, which I'm gonna get to in this video because this is absurd, every single friend has cut me off and been like, oh yeah, the Crystal Mall dream, and laid out the map and laid out the scenario before I finish saying what I need to. And locals, nutmeggers, chime in because I want to know if you guys have this too. That H&M is always the spawn point. For every person I've talked to about this dream, it is always the spawn point. It's the H&M. If you try to go to the left of that H&M, the opposite side, where this person in the video is filming, there's always a fire. Always a fire. You will die. You will die in the dream. And if you go down in this dream, and I'm telling you, I've talked to so many people about this, and it is consistently the same thing. When you go down, there's people who look like mannequins. They do not have a face. They are often wearing suits. You do not approach these people. You do not say anything. They do not move unless you go down the stairs. It's to the point that I love backrooms lore because I've had these lucid dreams for as long as I can remember. I won't go into that mall anymore. I will not step foot into that mall. That mall is my childhood. I will not step foot into the mall.
Like I said, we had actually talked about that story as well as Robert's videos in a scary side of TikTok from probably like almost 2 years ago now. And at the time, of course, I never would have known what Mall World is, but I find it really interesting that now you listen to her talk about that, and no, it isn't the exact same layout with the beach, the tsunamis, like whatever, the airport, but it is interesting how many people in her area had the exact same dream about that mall. So is there something to the psychologist saying that we're like taking every mall that we've seen and randomly turning it into this amalgamation of things that all looks eerily similar to one another? Because the people who live around this mall or who are familiar with it seem to have dreams about it pretty frequently. Maybe there's something in our brain chemistry that wants to take us to a place like that. I have certainly had dreams before about a house, like this gigantic mansion that's just a hybrid of every home I've ever lived in, and I get trapped in it and whatever. And I feel like I've heard people describe that before. But for me, at least, I feel like there could be something more to it. This TikTok user named Mandy posted this video. Since we're all talking about Mall World now, does anyone ever see places that look like this in your dreams? Like a mansion, usually scary, and you're stuck. Why am I bad at my job? I apparently didn't press record for like a solid 5 minutes, so bear with this voiceover. This video from Moogcitymayor I think is a fantastic like example of people who are just flabbergasted by the degree of detail that those talking about Mall World are going into. This is a poster who is very, very familiar with this, and we're going to talk about one location in particular in the next segment.
Not gonna lie, the Mall World is freaking me out, because how do you know about the theater? The theater that I go to all the time where the entire world is there and it seems like everybody's watching the show and I can't see it.
Now, the way that they talk about the theater is so fascinating to me. People have said that it's like a movie theater where everyone you've ever known is there and they're all watching movies of their own life. It's almost like these reviews. And I found this video from Underthecapricornsun really, really interesting. Now, we've talked about her on the scary side of TikTok before. She is a lucid dreamer, like an astral projector. I don't know if that's the proper terminology to use here, but she wanted to kind of give her 2 cents on Mall World. And in particular, she talked about the movie theater.
I've also been in the movie theater, but I was not watching a movie. So I was out in the hallway, and what was happening was like every movie was a movie of someone that I knew's life from their perspective, and I could go in and I could watch it. I specifically thought that was like really funny because my dad came out of the video of my life and then he was like, I still don't get you, which I thought was hysterical. Typically, I do not dream that I'm in any sort of theater or anything that isn't like extremely realistic.
So some people believe that this could be like the Akashic Records, which is apparently where the story of everyone's life ever is stored. And there's like this whole theory that you can go there and learn more about yourself and more about your life and all of that. That's definitely on the spiritual side of things. This whole video is like 7 minutes long, so go to her page if you want to watch the whole thing. But she talks about how like some dreams that she has, she feels like they're kind of just dreams, or she doesn't feel like the places that she's traveling to are necessarily Mall World specific, but that she does think maybe she's seen pieces of it.
But like I said, sometimes I feel like I'm waking up in different like worlds. So maybe Mall World is its own world and I've only been inside the theater or like inside the cafeteria, and maybe those things are connected because there's definitely doorways and hallways and stuff like that. But I think some of the other dreams are definitely not like that at all.
And while this was going viral, then you have videos like this one from this poster back in like February of this year, just talking specifically about the Reddit. And luckily, after this point, I was like, did I start recording the last 5 minutes of me talking? And I hit record again. So I'm back with you and things are back to normal.
A couple months ago, I started looking up my dreams on the internet. In particular, I was having these amusement park water park dreams. So I looked up amusement park water park dreams Reddit, you know, as all people do when they want to find something specific on Google, and I find this community on Reddit called the Mall World. And finding the Mall World has literally changed my life because there's 20,000 people having the same exact dreams as mine. I have these dreams. They are completely isolated from all these other people. I go to the subreddit and I find that so many other people are having the same exact dream locations as me. And when I say amusement park, water park, it's not like the amusement parks I see IRL. They are fantastical, almost looks like an AI version of what an amusement park would be. And it's insane to me that at least 20,000 other people are having the same exact dreams. And it's not just amusement park water parks. There's also a giant mall. There is a giant hotel. There's multiple hotels. There's all these apartment buildings. There's a whole town center. And, you know, we want to talk about how dreams are our subconscious, but I don't think I can create a whole entire city inside my head.
And I guess while I am letting my bake sit under my contour, there's probably no better time than to actually get into the r/Mall World subreddit. Now, the subreddit currently sits at like 37,000 members who all in some form or fashion are either interested in this or who have had these experiences. Some of the posts are like AI renditions of what people believe to see. So there's this one that's like the highway that turns into a roller coaster. There's this post of a 3-story house with the caption, "This picture freaked me out. I have a house that is exactly like this, multiple floors and out of place rooms with endless things to explore. Sometimes I get the vibe that I'm not allowed in there and I try to hide." Some of the comments read, "Yes, I've been here," or similar. "It's up on a hill in a neighborhood of other homes and apartments." "Yes, it's always in a neighborhood that I'm driving or walking through." Someone says, "Oh my God, I was just there on the hill." "I was there last night too, I'm pretty sure." The mall is down the hill and to the right. To the left side is a neighborhood that goes from modern to downtown to run down. I've been here and I've been trying to recreate it in my mind for a while now. My mother and grandmother who have passed away were hanging out on this couch listening to music, and it felt so real. I think about that dream often. But not everybody sees the exact same thing. And in response to this post saying, just to be clear, mall world dreams do not have to be about an actual mall. They are any experiences that seem more realistic or more emotionally impactful than an ordinary dream or even waking life. A user named Must Confess posted an incredibly long, incredibly detailed story about Mall World. And this is from 3 years ago, way before any of the TikToks ever went viral. I go to the same location every night. The dream isn't the same, but everything about the place is the same. Every night, I go to a giant multi-level structure that floats in the sky above a beautiful mountainous region with waterfalls and beachy shores, hills with flowers and forests below. Very what dreams may come. The mall is floating high above this beautiful terrain. It's a giant transit hub, but also a shopping mall, school, and resort. I usually arrive at the dark end of the mall on the bottom level. That's where the grocery store is. If I'm in a dream state, I go in and shop, usually going through my grocery list. The shop has attendants, checkout clerks, and shoppers. It feels like a very grimy 1980s shop, right? There's a deli counter, flower shop area, produce, meds aisle, and even a magazine/gift cards aisle. Sometimes I find myself wandering the mall. I always know which stores I'm going to go to. They're usually costume or clothes related. There's a busy bookshop I frequent with really cool book choices. Sci-fi, epics, magical stuff. Another is this awesome trinket store. I feel like it sells items that help you travel across dimensions, crystals, amulets, and such. It's very hippy-dippy in there. I've even fallen into the trap of thinking I work in the large department store, the makeup counter, in the mall. The mall has at least 2 main levels that I can remember, but how far they expand I do not know. I do have a sense of exhaustion when I'm going there having to navigate. On one end is the grocery store. The rest resembles a large shopping mall. Each store has its own shop owner/assistants. Some parts of the mall are completely empty while others are packed. I can't remember my interactions with customers and shop attendants. I don't know any of them personally. I remember walking through the mall, noticing certain stores closed with lights off and others open with customers. The food court is a sight to behold. It's always loud and packed with people sitting together at tables and talking. I don't know if anyone is actually eating anything. It's misty like a rainforest, but also bright from the domed glass ceiling skylight. Everything seems to get brighter as you get to higher levels. Just above the food court, there is a main set of escalators. These beautiful, glowing, massively long escalators separate the mall from the hotel/resort in the upper structures. However, along the long rise up there is a decoy dream dimension that resemble business offices and a school/university. There are a few work/school levels. Occasionally, I fall into a work narrative, or I'm a student cutting class on this Hogwarts-style roof. These work-school levels have staircases and not escalators. If you don't get distracted by these levels on the escalator ride up, you eventually arrive at the hotel lobby with the elevator doors opening. The ride up the escalator from the mall food court turns into the hotel lobby elevator. The hotel rises so high into the sky and overlooks the beach water below. I'm terrified of the elevators. They go very high, very fast, and I'm the only one who ever seems nervous about it. You can feel your body lifting in the air and the wind as it blows past you. I hold on for dear life in those elevator rides. That is the last you see of brightness or light. The hotel hallways are dark and maze-like. The room's lights are never on. I can walk by rooms and always see they are shared by multiple people. I'm never scared per se, but I get the feeling that I'm not supposed to be in those areas and I could get lost easily. The rooms are messy, and if I peer out of the large room window, I always see apocalyptic weather or a space anomaly ripping existence apart. Before I realize the end is near, I'm always waiting for someone to come back for me at the room, usually my family. I leave before anyone arrives. Walking around the lobby, there are elevators, areas that look like a casino, another side table with pool tables, and an antique bowling alley. You get hints of daylight from windows around the hotel. Keep walking, and there's a small dark arcade that spits out tickets, but I never see a place to redeem them. Usually most of the machines are broken. I remember asking an attendant who works there about getting my tickets at the machine. He apathetically tinkers with it, shrugs his shoulders, and puts a "do not use" sign on it. Funny thing is, there's usually a bucket full of coins just lying around that I never seem to care about, probably because all the games suck. Keep walking and it turns, and the hotel hallways lead into a museum-like setting, art and exhibits on the walls. As you keep going, the wall becomes alive, like you're watching animals in a glass-enclosed zoo or aquarium. If you go outside to the pool, more like a beach area, it's always about to close. It's super packed and there seems to be setting suns. The glow on everything is incredibly orange. If I leave the hotel through that pool area, I somehow travel to a different destination. I'll think I'm a tourist in Italy or Las Vegas. I'll walk around cobblestone streets and explore beautiful locations, and it feels weird. The Las Vegas part has an amusement park with scary, steep carnival rides and a skate park. If I leave the hotel by the casino/fancy buffet restaurant area and venture to the boardwalk beach side, it's always very ominous. If there isn't a giant tidal wave coming, then space is ripping open or there's a crazy sandstorm. At the very top of the hotel is the transit hub, but before you can leave, you have to stop at the movie theater located on the same floor mere steps away. There's even a few types of concession stands. The movie theater is very special. It's always packed with people I know who are also getting ready to head back. We all watch what I assume are life reviews. It's always a loud racket in there. The movie gets cut off, the theater lights come on, and we all head to the transit hub. We all wait for our prospective trains, board, and go back home. The train stations seem like they're underground, designed like open subways with people having to hop over tracks to get to their platform. Sometimes I transition to a bus or a car when traveling over the bridge. Then I'm usually walking the rest of the route home. Sometimes I'll fly. I don't know why I don't choose to fly more often. Actually, I do know. Sometimes I can't control it and I go flying off. I do not like being lost in space. I get anxiety just thinking about it. Have you ever been here? I travel to the same place nightly. And comparing that to other people's experiences of Mall World is so eerily similar. There are, a lot more details that I hadn't seen anyone else post about, but it's crazy to me because while, this is public info, right? Anyone could go to r/mallworld and just regurgitate this information saying, oh my God, I have these dreams and there's a tidal wave and on the beach. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with this tidal wave. I think it's because it's the craziest part of it to me. Just this random beach with a tsunami at all times. But what if that isn't it? Because while I think that could be the case for some people, I don't feel like it is for everybody. So we've taken a bit of a break now from the original poster that I talked about in the beginning, Teutonica TikTok.
Tiltonica.
But now that we have more information, let's go back and review the Mall World map with them once more.
Part 3 of explaining my map of Mall World. Let's get into it. Okay, so the mall's over here next to the airport, hospital, and school. It's kind of all one building. Then we have the amusement park that's running all throughout. The hotel has a fancy party happening in the top, and sometimes you're invited, sometimes you're not. You just see it happening, people with like really fancy clothes. There's an important meeting happening at the top of the office building, and it's like a crazy view. Like you can see out like this, like, and you're standing in it. That's what it looks like, and then you can see like the whole city down there. Okay, then there's downtown. The apartments are down here, then the antique store and the thrift store. But I want to talk more about the pool rooms because, yes, sometimes they're inside pools and sometimes they're outside pools. Sometimes each patio of the hotel, like if you're at a fancy spot in this fancy hotel, because there's also like motels over here. There's some outdoor, let's see if it's like campsites, fairground, mountains. This is like where a motel would be. And this is not a motel. This is a hotel and it's very fancy.
Now, normally I feel like I would kind of present you with this info. We would watch it all together and I would sort of give you my opinions at the end. Talk about what I believe, what I don't believe. But when it comes to Mall World, for me, it's a bit more complicated than that. Because there are aspects of Mall World that I think are explainable, and then there are parts of it that I don't think are. But in terms of the things that I think are explainable, because I think that's almost easier to get out of the way, I think the bathrooms are probably the number one thing. And there's going to be a bit of graphic discussion about very gross fictional bathrooms, basically, so you have been warned.
Let's talk about Mall World bathrooms, okay? So anytime that you're in Mall World in a dream, especially when you're in the mall and the hospital, if you try to use the bathroom, it's going to be an infinite toilet. And a lot of people were like, yes, I have seen the infinite toilet. This is what it looks like to me. So the bathrooms are like, some of them are like conjoined toilets. They're all crazy, spilling out. There's a lot of toilets. Like if you go farther back this way, it's just like forever toilets. There's tiny little stalls and they're just all disgusting. If you look in the mirror, your face and like your hair will change, like things about your expression, like things about you will change if you look in the mirrors. Sometimes you'll find a clean toilet, but that'll be the one with no doors. The floor also is like disgusting and wet. There's like some toilets that I'm not athletic or coordinated enough to scale. You can't find your locker. It's like a locker room, and there's more lockers going this way. If you go into the door, then you'll go into like either the theater or the backstage of the theater or the gym. Like it's all kind of back there in that area. And then there's also showers, like locker room type showers, and some of them look like this, some of them look like this, some of them are just like defying laws of physics and gravity, like they're just shooting out and being a little bit crazy. But yeah, the bathroom situation, if you have to pee in Mall World, good luck.
In the comments of this video, I'm realizing now this might be what Toilet World is referred to. Remember earlier I was like, that person said that they went to Toilet World? This person says, I visit Toilet World a lot, but I'm not lucid dreaming. The toilets are not usually dirty, but unusable for a variety of reasons, like no seat, water overflowing, stadium style seating arrangement with no privacy, etc. I visit many areas of Mall World or the high school, the two places I tend to be when I'm looking for a toilet, trying many different bathrooms but can never find one to use. Somebody else says, are the toilets always dirty, missing a door or something? So many toilets, but none that you can use. When I go to the bathroom in Mall World, it's like a locker room, tons of toilets and showers. The lights are always shady too. It's dark, sometimes just a bulb or two flickering. Everyone seems hostile in the bathrooms. The toilets are all soiled. There aren't doors on the stalls. And actually, if we go back to r/Mall World, we see this post, has anyone else dreamed about this bathroom? And people in the comments are like, I have chills. I go here at least 2 to 3 times a week and it's always filthy with the strangest people in it. And usually I'm frantic trying to get out to the parking lot. Someone else says, I've learned to embrace it and it usually makes me go lucid, like a reality check. Grimy bathroom with no privacy? Dreaming. This TikToker actually talked about Mall World and then responded to a comment specifically talking about the bathrooms.
Okay, you're going to have to spill the details in the comments because I'm really freaked out by this. Earlier today, I sent the TikTok to a friend of mine and she said she had a dream about the bathroom. And she said that there was like overflowing toilets, broken toilets, water all over the ground. And she said that she chalked it up to maybe she just had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, so she had a dream about it. Later, I told my mom, I was FaceTiming with my mom. I told her about the TikTok. My mom has dreamed about the bathroom. But in her dream, she said the toilets, some of them looked like regular chairs, and she was confused and didn't know how to use the bathroom there. And on the ground, there was like pee everywhere, and it was super weird and gross. And then my mom said she went outside and she saw lots of kids sitting on the ground and she thought they were camping. I went back to that creator's TikTok and I looked at her map, and outside of the bathroom, she lists dangerous playground, and there's like a forest area.
While I can't explain the fact that a lot of people, when they'll leave these certain locations, are seeing something super, super similar, I feel like the bathrooms are maybe the one aspect of Mall World that I kind of, at the very least, understand why they are the way that they are. Because, not to be too graphic, but if we saw a toilet in our dream, and we maybe need to go to the toilet in reality outside of our dream, maybe we would go to the bathroom. So I think that this is like an actual physiological response from our bodies, from our brains, getting us not to do that, if that makes any sense. I think that might be why the bathrooms are so disgusting. But the rest of it, I really just have no explanation for. It's not that I think that these are abnormal dream locations. I just don't understand how everyone's like literal maps are so similar. And we've talked about different TikTok stories before where people will explain their weird dreams where maybe they were like going somewhere for real when they were dreaming. And I think that dreams are a little weird. I think a lot of dreams is that human brains are pretty weird, but I also think that dreams can be something else. Like, I've heard so many stories about people like astral projecting in their dreams, and they'll see things that completely like will happen the next day, or they'll see like a friend or a family member doing something maybe that they never would have normally seen them doing, and it's like true when they wake up in the morning and talk to that person. So could it be that people are actually all going to the same place when they dream? Maybe not. But something that a lot of people have been talking about to this point that I haven't quite included yet has been the mention of the GATE program. So GATE is the Gifted and Talented Education Program. And again, we've had a couple of creators bring it up to this point. And there are many people from those programs, specifically kind of dating in the 90s-ish and going back from there, who just have some weird experiences and even stranger theories around it. And this is something that I was certainly aware of prior to this. I just was very surprised to see it linked specifically to Mall World. This video from Museumoftarot kind of goes into what people are saying.
If you were part of the GATE program and you remember strange hearing tests, weird music, or missing time, then you may have been experimented on with one of these. This very rare piece of equipment is known as a binaural signal generator by AWI Electronics out of Tacoma, Washington. This device was made in the 1980s, and the company that made it is long out of business. I believe the gentleman that owned it is in his 70s right now. You would set up an audio device that plays into this. This would overlay an entrainment signal onto it, and it would play through headphones or through speakers to put the audience into a hyper-suggestible altered state. There is a paper trail of these devices being made and tested in schools under the pretense of what is called super learning. Now, super learning, like super memory, super learning 2000, mega brain, and psi testing. The problem is none of you seem to have actually received any of that super learning training.
Now, while I didn't want to include this 5-minute video in its entirety in my own, I do want to say that this is an incredibly informational video that might give you a little bit more context into what people believe was basically being used as like MK Ultra-esque mind control in these GATE program theories that we're going to be talking about shortly. I highly recommend heading over to his page, watching the whole thing. It's really informational. Talks about the links that, you know, it has to schools, what these machines were supposed to do, how it's interesting that the gifted and talented programs didn't seem to like create really accelerated learners. In fact, if anything, it stunted people. And I can speak from my own experience and say I actually think that is totally true. So yeah, go over to his page, check it out. It's really interesting. Essentially, there is a community of people who believe that gifted and talented education program students were essentially being like experimented on by the government. There's no like lesser way to say that. And actually, one of the users we talked about earlier, Johnridgeway, he talked about the GATE program a little bit more in another TikTok.
The videos about the GATE program are kind of freaking me out a little bit because I was actually tested twice for the GATE program. And I kind of do believe it's like some MK Ultra, like some governmental, I don't know, alien, like I really don't know, but it just all seems odd. And people were saying like in addition to like being tested for the GATE program, another pattern that people are seeing is like a near drowning experience, which I've had when I was like 5 and never breaking a bone. I've never broken a bone. And then also having a mole on your left arm.
So I was in the gifted program at my school, I think from like elementary school to middle school. I think once we get into high school, it was more like AP classes and stuff like that. But it's interesting. I also have a near drowning experience where my brother almost drowned in a pool when I was like 5 and I had to, well, not 5, he would have been a baby then, but probably like 7 or 8. And I had to like literally like pull him out of the pool. I also have never broken a bone and I have a mole on my left arm.
And I got tested twice for the GATE program, and it was actually kind of like confusing to me because I wanted to be in the GATE program. And I got tested the first time, and then I don't even remember what the happened. I just remember there were cards, literally just like wiped my memory. I don't know what the actually happened. The second time, I got tested again and I was like, oh, I for sure got this. And then they were trying to have me guess something. I don't know if it was like trying to have me like guess what was on another side of the paper without seeing it, or like guess what. It was honest. I promise you guys, it literally is some MK Ultra. I didn't get into the GATE program, but I did get tested twice. And then all those other things, I need someone to let me know what they think this is.
So I guess how this is all being tied into Mall World is that people believe that those who were in the GATE program or maybe being like tested for the GATE program were subject to some sort of mind control stuff from the government. Now, this would have been pretty much from the 90s and back, apparently. And I would have been in the program in the like early 2000s. So maybe I just missed out on it, but I certainly never experienced anything like this. I think like a large reason why we might have missing memory from that time is just that it was a long time ago, and think about how much you actually remember from your childhood, let alone like tests from school and stuff like that. When you're a kid, you probably block that kind of stuff out. Not to say anybody's wrong, like I think that it's an interesting correlation. I just don't really think personally that the government is running mind control on children. Do I think that they're capable of something like that? Absolutely. Do I think that they might be doing it? Do I think that they're doing it on elementary school kids, trying to find like psychic abilities or something like that? Probably not. In my experience with the gifted program, I mean, again, I was a kid, so I don't have too much memory of it, but it was just going to a different classroom from my peers. We would be like out, and people say that this would happen a lot. You'd be out in a trailer or something. And I think that's because, you know, schools probably ran out of room. And I think that's pretty common, but we would go out to a trailer and we would just be taught different things, like things that I would end up learning in classes. Maybe I would be in like 3rd grade and this would be happening, and I would learn about that thing like later in 5th grade or something like that. So I don't really think I was having the experience that all of these other people did. But look at this video. It's from Anna Mills EXO 23, and it shows actual worksheets that apparently she had from the GATE program when she was a kid.
I was a part of the Gifted and Talented program in the 90s, and I just found my binder. The things I found. For starters, they had us doing worksheets in Morse code. Here's one of them. So they gave us at the top what the Morse code is, and then we had to fill out the rest of the worksheets to like make codes and messages and stuff in Morse code. A lot of our worksheets were about different codes. This one is literally called Codes to Crack. So you can see there, they gave us like 8 letters, and each of the columns is a different code. So for this one, there was 8 letters. They gave us the corresponding letters, and then we had to figure out the rest of the alphabet and fill in the rest of the column. But there's so much more. Like the stuff I found in there, I'm like, what were you training us for? Like, why was I 10 years old speaking Russian? It's cool, but I don't actually remember anything except that's my name. So I do remember that.
I do actually remember learning about Morse code, I think, but I don't know if that would have been in the gifted program classes or if it would have been something else. Here's what I will say though, as someone who had 2 teachers for parents and pretty much spent the vast majority of my life in a school, because even when I would get off, I would be there with my family. I think a lot of that stuff could have also been seeing how advanced that some children were like mentally in terms of their capability of learning. And I say this because when I initially was placed into the gifted and talented program, essentially, it would have been 3rd grade. And when I was in 3rd grade, shortly after I got into it, I was then tested to see if they wanted to move me to a different grade. And it actually turned out that I would have been on a 5th grade level. And I was a kid who was like, I loved my teacher, I loved my friends. The idea of graduating high school at 13 when I was like 7, 8 years old was so scary to me that I chose, and my parents luckily, you know, let me choose in this situation to stay in 3rd grade. And I would end up doing half of the day in 3rd grade, half of the day in 5th grade. It would be like, you know, maybe like English and math would have been like 5th grade, and then the rest of them would have been 3rd grade, if that makes any sense, because maybe I just placed higher in those. I don't know. My point for all of this is that Morse code and things like that are more than just like codes. It's like your ability to solve these puzzles, to figure these things out, because learning and your ability to learn is much more than just what kind of info can you take from a book. It's like, how do you recognize patterns? How do you maybe decipher codes? And again, if you're sitting there and you're like, nope, I completely believe the MK Ultra stuff, I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. It's just not how I personally feel about it. And in a video where ultimately I low-key think Mall World is pretty real, at least to an extent, I feel I have to add some like realism in here somewhere. My camera is about to die though, so I'll be right back with my final thoughts. Winter is crazy because I started filming this like mid-afternoon and now the sun is setting. So yeah, that's Mall World. And in terms of how I feel about it, I think you can probably tell. I think there are aspects of it that are explainable. I think there are certain things that, like the gate program or the toilets, for example, that I don't think are quite like a supernatural thing. That's just my personal opinion. But then I think there are aspects of this that are very uncanny. The fact that so many people's layouts are the same, the maps are the same. Is this a glitch in the matrix? Is this like a totally explainable phenomena? Is it somewhere in the middle? I don't really know. And I am very curious to know what you guys think about this. I'm so curious if you'll be like, no, this one's really explainable, or if you'll think like this is definitely a glitch in the matrix, or that you'll even disagree with some of the things that I'm explaining away. And luckily, we don't have to wait all that long to figure it out. I put out a community post on my YouTube channel asking if you guys knew about Mall World, if you had any experiences with it. And this is something I really want to implement into my channel moving forward, is a lot of community participation from you guys. I love hearing your stories and hearing your takes on things like this. Okay, 9318 said, I can't believe you're talking about this. Yes, I dream of it. The dream started when I was a kid, maybe around 12, and I still have them almost every other night. I've had some parts of these dreams come true in real life, not exactly as the dream, but very similar. For me, it feels like another world, almost just as real as this one. What's weird about it is I've had my fair share of lucid dreams, and regular lucid dreamers say once you become lucid, you can not only control yourself, but control the dream. In Mall World, that's not true for me. I can only control myself when I become lucid, but the environment stays the same. It can be scary when I can't wake myself up from it. Sometimes it doesn't even feel like I can control myself. It feels like whoever or whatever is making us dream of this is putting us through a test we must complete to get out. I have to pretend like I don't know I'm dreaming and play along with the dream characters, otherwise I'll get caught. The only thing we have found in common with each other, at least on the subreddit r/themallworld, is being in gate or considered gifted or having ties to the military. Are we being experimented on, seeing the future, or something else? It's really fascinating. And again, I love hearing what you guys have to say on this subject. Yetta1944 said, I used to have dreams about a mall that I was in, but the stores were all closed or closing. I could never make it on time. Hey, it's Kaz says, maybe, yeah. I had a dream once of this kind of pocket dimension, and I remember seeing a big food court, fairly colorful, with a huge wall-sized window. Leah Vig says, I used to work at the mall in real life, and the dreams I had during that time were wild. It was night, the mall was empty, and I was always closing the store alone. You know how some closed stores in the mall have metal gates? My store had that, so in the dream I'd be doing closing paperwork while facing the metal gate. The mall was dark but dimly lit by LED store signs and emergency exits. I was always the last person to leave, so nobody else was in the mall, not even security. But every single time I had this dream, I'd look up for my paperwork, and through the metal gate I'd see a lone man slowly walking down the mall aisle. It never seemed like he was walking towards me. In fact, it always looked like he was just going to pass by, but every time he was halfway past, he would literally make a sharp turn and start speed walking directly towards my store. I'd run to our back room and lock myself in there, and then I'd hear the sound of the metal gate lifting. Then I heard the sound of clothing racks being thrown on the floor and footsteps getting closer to me. I was always able to escape to the parking lot, and my car was always the only one there, but when I got in my car, it would never start. Then I'd look up and see the man walking directly from the mall to my car. Then I'd wake up. I've had this exact dream so many times, but once I stopped working at the mall, the dream stopped. I know this isn't related to liminal space, but it's related to the mall, and it's always creeped me out so bad. Agree. That is literally so creepy and horrifying that you can't even escape work in your dreams. Kitnell6199 says, I dream of Mall World all the time. It's always the same shopping center from my childhood, but bigger and less coherent. The stores change and morph. Sometimes there are weird alleys and pockets and giant escalators. Sometimes it's a vast empty place with an elevator that leads to a strange floor of claustrophobic stores. Sometimes there's a cinema and an arcade too. There's always a multi-story car park. And lastly, Jen the Jet says, my mall world is some amalgamation of the mall I went to as a kid/teen, but the shops lead into other shops or hallways or a mysterious third floor. The food court is endless but crowded, so I can never find a place to stop and eat. For a while there was always a mass event happening in the background. No injuries and no urgency, but it was always a looming thing. Lately, my mall world is now a water park with the same qualities, but the bonus of never-ending water slides with tight squeezes. So in the end, I think some dreams are just dreams about a mall, and then I think it is entirely possible that some people might just be going to a place called Mall World. This was a very different video for me, so I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. A special thank you to my subscribers who are members of the channel. If you want to join the channel memberships and get extra members exclusive perks like members only videos, polls help me decide on future video topics, and so much more, you can click that little join button somewhere around the screen. We would love to have you. An extra special thank you to my VIP loves for their continued and generous support of the channel. I love and appreciate you all very much. I love you all very much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.